Admiral stood alone on the observation deck of the starship Eternal Dawn. She watched the stars through the massive window. Each tiny light was a sun. Each sun had planets. And on many of those planets lived alien species who looked at humans the same way a person looks at an insect. 300 years. That was how long humanity had been part of the Galactic Assembly. 300 years of trying to prove themselves. 300 years of following every rule. 300 years of being told they were too young, too weak, too primitive to matter. Was 62 years old. She had given 40 years of her life to Earth's united fleet. She had climbed from a simple pilot to the highest rank any human could hold. And in all those years, she had learned one truth that broke her heart a little more each day. The galaxy did not want peace with humanity. The galaxy wanted humanity to stay quiet and small. Her tablet made a soft sound, a new message. She already knew what it would say before she read it. Another incident, another attack, another group of humans dead or missing, and another official response from the Galactic Assembly telling Earth to be patient and understand. She read the message anyway. Station Aria, a research station at the edge of human space. 847 scientists, doctors, and engineers. They had been studying ways to grow food in difficult environments. Good people doing good work. The Dominion had taken them. All of them. The message said the claim they needed labor resources, and that humans made excellent workers because they were small and could fit into tight spaces. Put down the tablet. She did not throw it. She did not scream. She had stopped doing those things years ago. Instead, she just stood there and felt something inside her grow colder. The door behind her opened. Captain walked in. He was younger than her by 15 years, but his eyes looked old. All human officers had old eyes these days. "You saw the report," he said. It was not a question. "I saw it." "What do we do?" Turned to look at him. What we always do. We file a formal complaint. We ask the Assembly to intervene. We wait for them to tell us that they are an important member species and we should not cause trouble. His jaw tightened. They took children this time. 12 children were on that station. Scientists brought their families. "I know. The will work them to death. You know how they treat their labor forces." "I know." The silence between them was heavy. Outside the window, the stars continued to shine. They did not care about 847 missing humans. The universe never cared. "Permission to speak freely, Admiral." Almost smiled. "You have never needed permission to speak your mind to me." He stepped closer. His voice dropped low, even though they were alone. "How long do we keep doing this? How many more people do we lose? How many more times do we bow our heads and accept their contempt?" These were dangerous questions. Questions that could end a career. Questions that could be called treason if the wrong person heard them. But had been asking herself the same questions for 20 years. "I do not have answers," she admitted. "I only have duty, and my duty is to follow the chain of command." The chain of command has failed us for 3 centuries. Yes, it has. She turned back to the window. Somewhere out there, 847 humans were scared and alone. Somewhere out there, 12 children were crying for their parents. And somewhere out there, they were laughing because they knew nothing would happen to them. Because nothing ever happened to anyone who hurt humans. 3 days later, stood in a room she had visited too many times. The emergency council chamber deep beneath Earth's surface. 12 chairs arranged in a circle. 12 people who held humanity's fate in their hands. Admiral was the oldest among them. 80 years old and still sharp as a blade. He had fought in the First War against the Raiders 50 years ago. He had watched humanity lose that war because they did not have enough ships. He had spent the rest of his life making sure they would never lose again. Admiral was the youngest, only 34. Some said she was too young for her position. Those people had never seen her command a fleet. She thought faster than anyone had ever met. She saw patterns where others saw chaos. Admiral sat apart from the others. He commanded the Black Fleet. Officially, the Black Fleet did not exist. It was not in any record. It did not appear in any budget. If you asked the government about it, they would say they did not know what you were talking about. But everyone in this room knew the truth. For 200 years, humanity had been building ships in secret, hiding them in places the galaxy would never think to look, preparing for a day they hoped would never come. Took her seat. She looked around at the faces she knew so well. These were the people who would decide what happened next. "You have all read the report," she began. "Station Aria, 847 taken. The claim they are now property of the Dominion." "Property," repeated. The word dripped with disgust. "I filed a formal complaint 6 hours ago. The Assembly responded within the hour." "That was fast," said. "What did they say?" Pulled up the message on the central display. She read it aloud, her voice flat and empty. "The Galactic Assembly acknowledges Earth's concerns regarding the Aria Station incident. However, the Assembly reminds Earth that the Dominion operates under sovereign authority within their claimed territories. The Assembly advises humans to avoid travel near space until this matter can be reviewed by the appropriate committees. Estimated review time is 18 to 24 months. Silence filled the room. 18 months, said quietly. "Those people will be dead in 18 days. "The Assembly knows that," replied. "They do not care." Leaned forward. His old eyes were hard. "How many complaints have we filed in the past 10 years? 4,891. This one makes 4,892. "And how many were resolved in our favor?" 17. All of them were minor trade disputes. "So we have a success rate of less than 0.5%. "Correct." Nodded slowly. He looked around the room at each face. "I have been patient for 50 years. I have watched us be patient. I have buried friends who died because we were patient. I have attended memorial services for colonies that were destroyed because we were patient." He stood up. Even at 80, he was tall and straight. "I am tired of being patient." The words hung in the air. Everyone knew what he was saying. Everyone knew what it would mean. Spoke next. "If we act, we cannot go back. The galaxy will see us differently." "The galaxy already sees us as victims," replied. "As easy targets. As people who will accept any insult and any injury and simply ask for justice through proper channels." "And we have been those things," said. "We have been patient because we believed in the system. We believed that if we showed them we were civilized, they would treat us as equals." She stood up as well. "But they will never treat us as equals, not because we have not earned it, but because treating us as equals would mean admitting they were wrong about us, and they would rather let us die than admit they were wrong." One by one, the other admirals stood. 12 people, 12 voices, one decision. "What do we do?" asked. He was not an admiral, but he had been allowed into this meeting because trusted him completely. Looked at her colleagues, her friends, her family really. These were the only people who understood the weight she carried every day. "We do something we should have done a long time ago," she said. "We stop asking for permission. We stop filing complaints. We stop hoping they will change." She took a deep breath. "We remind the galaxy that humans are not weak. We have never been weak. We have simply been kind. And kindness, when it is mistaken for weakness, must eventually end." Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had waited decades for this moment. "Then let us begin," he said. "Let us show them who we really are." And in that moment, deep beneath the earth, 12 humans made a choice that would change the galaxy forever. They chose to stop being patient. The Galactic Assembly Chamber was the largest room Ambassador had ever seen. It was built to impress. It was built to make visitors feel small, and for 300 years it had worked on humans. The chamber was shaped like a bowl. 47 platforms rose in circles around a central stage. Each platform belonged to a different species. Each species had earned their place through power, through war, through making the others fear them. Humanity's platform was at the very bottom, the worst position. It meant everyone could look down on them. It meant their voice had to travel the farthest to reach the top. It was, new, completely intentional. Today, he stood on that platform alone. Behind him, a holographic display showed the blue and green of Earth. In front of him, 46 alien species watched with expressions ranging from boredom to amusement. Was 45 years old. He had spent 20 years as a diplomat. He had learned their languages. He had studied their customs. He had smiled when they insulted him. He had nodded politely when they dismissed his concerns. He had done everything right. None of it had mattered. "Honored representatives," he began. His voice was calm, measured, the same diplomatic tone humanity had used since the beginning. "I come before you today not with a request but with a notification." A few of the aliens shifted in their seats. This was unusual. Humans always made requests. Humans always asked permission. 72 hours ago, the Dominion attacked a peaceful human research station. They took 847 of our citizens, including 12 children. They have declared these people to be property of the Dominion. The platform was near the top of the chamber. Their representative was named. He was massive, even by standards. His body was covered in thick armor plates. His 4 arms were each strong enough to tear a human in half. His mouth was filled with teeth designed for crushing bone. Clicked his mandibles in what passed for a laugh. The human speaks of property as if it is a strange concept. Many species keep lesser beings as workers. It is the way of the galaxy. Several other representatives laughed with him. The others who had taken from humanity over the years. Waited for the laughter to stop. Then he continued. "Earth demands the return of our citizens, all 847 of them, unharmed. You have 72 hours to comply." Now the laughter was louder. Stood up on his platform, his massive form blocking the light behind him. "Demands," he repeated. "The human makes demands. This is new. Usually they beg and cry and ask us to be fair." He looked around at the other representatives. Have the humans finally grown spines? How amusing. The chamber filled with the sound of alien laughter. 46 species, all laughing at the tiny humans at the bottom of the room. Did not react. He simply stood there waiting. When the noise died down, he spoke again. "This is not a request. This is not a negotiation. You will return our people or there will be consequences." "Consequences," roared with delight. "He threatens us with consequences. Tell me, little human, what consequences? Will you file another complaint? Will you ask the assembly to form another committee? Will you wait another 18 months for us to ignore you?" "No," said simply, "we will stop being patient." For a moment something flickered in his eyes, something that might have been uncertainty, but it passed quickly, replaced by arrogance. "You have no power here, human. You have no fleet that can challenge us. You have no weapons that can hurt us. You are children playing at diplomacy while the adults run the galaxy." Smiled. It was a small smile, quiet, the kind of smile humans gave when they were being polite. The aliens had seen this smile many times. They thought it meant submission. They did not know there was another kind of human smile. 72 hours, repeated, not 1 minute more. He turned and walked off the platform. Behind him, the chamber erupted in noise. Some species were still laughing. Others were calling after him, demanding he return and show proper respect. Did not look back. Outside the chamber, his aide Myra was waiting. She was young, only 25, but she had the same old eyes as everyone else in the human diplomatic corps. "How did it go?" she asked, though she already knew. As expected, they laughed, they threatened. They did everything except take us seriously. Will they return our people? Stopped walking. He looked at Myra with something like sadness. No, they will not. And in exactly 72 hours, they will learn why that was a mistake. The response came 12 hours later. Appeared on every human communication channel. His image was broadcast to every human colony, every ship, every station in the galaxy. His message was short. Humans of Earth, your ambassador made threats against the Dominion. This is not acceptable. As punishment for his arrogance, we will execute 10 of your captured workers each day until you apologize publicly and promise to never threaten us again. He held up a small human in one of his massive hands. A woman, a scientist. Her face was bloody and her eyes were full of fear. This one will be first. We will make it slow so you can watch. The broadcast continued for 20 minutes. 20 minutes that changed something inside every human who watched. On Earth, Admiral stood in the command center beneath the Pacific Ocean. Around her, officers worked at their stations with steady hands and cold faces. They had all watched the broadcast. They had all seen what they did to that woman. They want us to be afraid, said quietly. They have made a mistake, replied. Fear is not what they should want from us. Fleet Commander approached. She was carrying a tablet with files that officially did not exist. Admiral, the protocols are ready. Project Silence, Project Nemesis, Project Last Light, all systems are standing by. Took the tablet. She looked at the files for a long moment. These were humanity's secrets. These were the things they had built in the darkness while the galaxy was looking the other way. These were the weapons they had hoped they would never need. How many ships do we have hidden? She asked. 12,000 in the Black Fleet. Another 8,000 in reserve positions, 20,000 total. And the galaxy thinks we have approximately 4,000. Nodded slowly. For 200 years, humanity had pretended to be weak. They had shown the galaxy only a fraction of their true strength. They had let the aliens believe humans were primitive and harmless. It was time to stop pretending. Minu, she called. The tactical officer looked up from his station. Upload the coordinates to every human vessel, military and civilian. Everyone needs to know where they should not be in 72 hours. Yes, Admiral. Hesitated. Admiral, once we do this, there is no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. Good, said. I am tired of how they see us now. Across the galaxy, human ships began to move. Cargo vessels changed course. Passenger transports altered their routes. Mining operations in distant systems quietly packed up and left. Anyone watching would have noticed that human traffic near space was dropping to zero. They did not notice. They were too busy enjoying their victory. They received reports that the humans had not responded to his demands. No apology, no surrender, just silence. They are stubborn, he told his officers, but they will break. Execute 10 more tomorrow, make it even slower this time. His officers laughed and agreed. Humans were soft creatures. Humans were weak. A few more executions and they would come crawling back, begging for mercy. They had no idea what was coming. 60 hours remained. In the secret command center, activated the final preparations. Thousands of ships powered up systems they had kept dormant for decades. Weapons that had never been fired were brought online. Crews who had trained in secret for generations prepared for the mission they had always known might come. They think we are weak, said to no one in particular. They think 300 years of patience means we cannot fight. Minu looked up from his console. What does it actually mean, Commander? Turned to face him. Her expression was calm, but her eyes burned with something ancient and terrible. It means we really did not want to do this. It means we tried everything else first. It means that when the history of this war is written, no one will be able to say we did not give them every chance to be decent. She looked at the countdown timer on the main display. But they did not want to be decent. So now they will learn what happens when humanity stops hopping for the best and starts preparing for the worst. 48 hours remained. On Station 7, where the human prisoners were being held, a young engineer named looked up at the stars through a tiny window in his cell. He did not know if anyone was coming to save them. He did not know if Earth had heard what was happening. But he knew his people. He knew what humans were capable of when pushed too far. And somehow, despite everything, he smiled. "You should not have made us angry," he whispered to the stars. "You really, really should not have made us angry." 24 hours remained. The galaxy continued to spin, unaware that everything was about to change. And in the darkness of space, 20,000 human warships moved into position and waited for the signal that would begin the reckoning. The 72 hours ended at exactly midnight, Earth Standard Time. Onday was eating dinner when the lights went out, not just in his room, not just in his building, everywhere. The entire planet went dark. For a moment, he thought it was a simple power failure. These things happen sometimes. But then his communicator died. Then the backup generators failed to start. Then he looked out the window and saw that every light in the city, as far as he could see, had gone out at exactly the same moment. "What is happening?" he demanded. No one answered. His guards were stumbling in the darkness, as confused as he was. Across the Dominion, the same thing was happening. 7 star systems, hundreds of military bases, thousands of ships, all of them lost power at the exact same instant. Their famous planetary shields, technology they had used to conquer a dozen worlds, flickered and died like candles in the wind. They had spent 10,000 years building their defenses. Humanity had spent 200 years figuring out how to destroy them in 6 seconds. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Admiral watched her display screens light up with reports. "Phase 1 complete," Minu announced. "All military networks are down. Their shields are offline across all 7 systems." "Casualties?" asked. "None. The pulse was designed to disable electronics only." Nodded. This was important. They were not monsters. They were not going to kill millions of civilians to make a point. They were going to do something much more precise. "Begin Phase 2, all ships." Across space, the stars began to change. They had always believed they controlled their territory completely. Their sensors watched every corner of space. Nothing could enter without their knowledge. Nothing could hide from their detection grids. They were wrong. Human ships appeared out of nothing. Not dozens, not hundreds. Thousands of them emerging from hiding spots that should have been empty space. They had been there for months. Some had been there for years. Waiting, watching, preparing. A soldier finally got one scanner working on backup power. He looked at the readings 3 times before he believed them. "Sir," he said, his voice shaking, there are human ships everywhere." "How many?" "Thousands, sir. At least 5,000 in orbit around our planet alone." Felt something he had not felt in a very long time: fear. "That is impossible. Earth only has 4,000 ships in their entire fleet." "These readings must be wrong then, sir, because I am showing closer to 12,000 across all our systems." His voice echoed through every communication device on every world. It cut through the silence like a knife. "People of the Dominion, you have taken our citizens. You have killed our citizens. You laughed when we asked for justice. You told us we were weak and powerless and beneath your notice." She paused. On the main display, she could see the turning slowly below her fleet. A beautiful planet, really. It was a shame its leaders were monsters. "You were wrong about us. You have always been wrong about us. And now we are going to show you exactly how wrong you were." The battle lasted 6 hours. It was not really a battle. Battles imply 2 sides fighting. What happened in space that night was something else. something that would be remembered and feared for generations. The military was the third largest in the galaxy. They had conquered dozens of species. They had never lost a war in their entire history. By dawn, their military no longer existed. Human ships moved in ways they could not predict. They were faster than anything they had ever seen. Their weapons cut through armor that was supposed to be unbreakable. Their tactics seemed to know exactly what they would do before they did it. Captain commanded the assault on the main fleet. 300 of their largest warships gathered in defensive formation around there. "Target their engines first," he ordered. "Disable, do not destroy. We want prisoners, not corpses." His officers carried out the orders with cold efficiency. One by one, the massive warships went dark. Their engines failed. Their weapons stopped firing. They drifted helplessly in space while human boarding teams prepared to enter. "Sir," one officer reported, "the flagship is trying to ram our position." Watch the massive ship accelerating toward them. It was an old tactic, a desperate tactic, the act of someone who had run out of options. Let them come. Wait until the last moment, then disable their navigation systems. The flagship was enormous. It could have crushed the eternal dawn like an insect. But at the last possible second, its navigation systems died. The ship sailed past harmlessly, missing by less than 100 meters. "Target their bridge, surgical strike only." A single beam of light shot from the eternal dawn. It punched through the flagship's armor like it was made of paper, destroying the bridge and killing everyone inside, but leaving the rest of the ship intact. The message was clear: we can kill you whenever we want. We are choosing not to. Be grateful. Across the Dominion, the story was the same. Human forces appeared from nowhere, disabled defenses with terrifying precision, and then stopped. They did not bomb cities. They did not kill civilians. They simply eliminated every military asset they possessed and then waited. Was captured 6 hours after the attack began. He was found hiding in an underground bunker, surrounded by guards who had already surrendered. They brought him to Admiral on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn. He was smaller than he had seemed in the assembly chamber. Without his army, without his power, he was just another alien who had made a terrible mistake. "Where are our people?" asked. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "Station 7, in the outer system." "How many are still alive?" Hesitated. 823. "We executed 24 before this." Nodded slowly. 24 dead. 24 families who would never see their loved ones again. 24 reasons why they would never be allowed to forget this day. "You will take us to them. You will watch as we free them, and then you will stand trial for what you have done." "The Assembly will not allow this," said. There was desperation in his voice now. "You cannot simply attack a member species. There are rules, there are procedures." Leaned closer. Her eyes were ice. "The Assembly had 300 years to protect us. They chose not to, so we will protect ourselves now. And if anyone tries to stop us, they will learn the same lesson you just learned." She straightened up. "The Dominion is finished. Your military is gone. Your leaders will face justice. Your people will survive because we are not like you. We do not slaughter the innocent to prove a point." She turned to. "Send a message to the Assembly. Tell them what has happened here. Tell them to watch carefully, because they were not the only ones who hurt us over the centuries, and our memory is very, very long." The rescue of Station 7 took less than an hour. 823 humans walked out of their cells and into the arms of their rescuers. Many of them were crying. Some could not believe it was real. The young engineer was among the last to leave. He had been beaten badly by the guards, but he was alive. When he saw the human soldiers coming through the door, he laughed and cried at the same time. "I knew it," he said. "I knew you would come." The soldier who reached him first was a young woman named. She helped him to his feet and supported him as they walked toward the shuttle. "We always come," she said. "We never leave anyone behind. That is who we are." News of the attack spread across the galaxy within hours. Every species in the assembly watched the footage in shock. The mighty Dominion destroyed in a single night. Their unbeatable fleet reduced to drifting wreckage. Their fearsome warriors captured and imprisoned by creatures half their size. "What are they?" whispered the delegate, watching the recordings in the assembly chamber. No one answered, because no one knew anymore. For 300 years, humans had been the galaxy's victims, the species everyone could push around, the people who filed complaints and hoped for justice that never came. Now, in one night, everything had changed. The humans had stopped being victims, and the galaxy was finally terribly afraid. On the bridge of the eternal dawn, watched Earth appear on her screen. Home, the blue planet that had given birth to her species, the world that had been insulted and ignored and threatened for so long. "It is done," said quietly. "No," replied, "it is just beginning. They were the worst, but they were not the only ones. There are other debts to collect, other lessons to teach." She turned to face her crew. These men and women who had fought so brilliantly, who had proven that humanity was never weak, only patient. "Today, the galaxy learned something important," she said. "They learned that our kindness was a choice, our patience was a gift, and gifts, when they are thrown back in your face, can be taken away." She looked back at the stars. "Let them spread the word. Let them tell everyone what happened here. Let them know that the old humanity is gone. The humanity that begged for scraps and accepted insults is dead." Her voice hardened. "A new humanity is born tonight, and this humanity will never be a victim again." The stars continued to shine, but they looked different now. Less peaceful, more like warnings. Because somewhere out there, human fleets were already moving toward their next targets. And the galaxy was about to learn that they were only the beginning. The High Council met in their ancient palace of glass and light. They had built it 10,000 years ago when their species first conquered the stars. It was meant to show their greatness, their permanence, their power. Now it felt like a tomb. "The humans are coming," said Council Leader. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Our scouts have detected their black fleet 3 days away from our borders." The other council members sat in silence. They had all watched what happened to the... They had all seen how quickly the third largest military in the galaxy had been erased from existence. "Perhaps they will not attack us," said another council member, though he did not sound like he believed it. "They will attack," said. "We destroyed their colony on 22B, 12,000 of their people. We told the assembly it was a border dispute. We laughed about it afterward." The memory hung in the air like poison. At the time, it had seemed like nothing. Humans were weak. Humans did not fight back. Killing 12,000 of them was like stepping on insects. But insects do not build fleets that can destroy empires. Admiral's face appeared on every screen in the system 2 days later. He was a small man by human standards, with a quiet face and calm eyes. He looked like a scholar, not a warrior. But the had learned not to judge humans by their appearance. "People of the collective," he said, 47 years ago your military attacked a peaceful human colony called 22B. They killed 12,000 men, women, and children. When we asked for justice, your government called it a border dispute. When we asked for the commanders responsible, your government said they were heroes." He paused. Behind him, they could see hundreds of human warships in perfect formation. "I am here for those commanders. Every officer who gave orders that day, every soldier who pulled a trigger, every politician who covered it up. You will give them to us to face human justice." Council Leader appeared on the screen, trying to look dignified. "Admiral, perhaps we can negotiate. Perhaps there is some other arrangement we can reach." "There is no negotiation," replied. "You have 24 hours to hand over the guilty. If you do not, I will do to your military what Admiral did to the..." and then I will find them myself. You cannot make such demands, the Assembly. The Assembly did nothing when you killed our people. The Assembly does nothing when anyone kills our people. The Assembly is meaningless to us now. You have 24 hours. The screen went dark. They surrendered in 16 hours. They handed over 43 officers and 12 politicians. They did it publicly, in front of cameras that broadcast across the galaxy. They did it with their heads bowed and their pride shattered. Accepted the prisoners without gloating. He did not make speeches. He did not humiliate the beyond what was necessary. He simply took the guilty parties and left. But before he went, he spoke one more time. They have done what was required. They have accepted responsibility. For this reason, their people will not suffer. Their cities will not burn. Their children will not lose their parents. He looked directly at the camera. Let this be a lesson to others. Justice is not cruelty. Accountability is not genocide. We do not want to destroy anyone. We simply want to live in a galaxy where hurting humans has consequences. If you have harmed our people, come forward now. Accept responsibility. Face justice. And we will show you the mercy you never showed us. The galaxy watched, and the galaxy understood. Humans were not out for revenge. They were out for something far more terrifying. They were out for justice. The Syndicate was next on the list. Unlike they did not have a military worth mentioning. They were merchants, traders, dealers in secrets and lies. They had survived for 8,000 years not through strength but through cunning. 15 years ago, they had poisoned human agricultural shipments. It was meant to weaken Earth's economy. It was meant to make humans dependent on food supplies. It was meant to give the Syndicate leverage. Instead, it killed 30,000 humans from contaminated crops before the poison was detected. The Assembly called it a trade misunderstanding. They paid a small fine and continued doing business. Commander did not bring a fleet to space. She brought something worse. She brought the truth. Every secret the Syndicate had collected over 8,000 years was suddenly exposed. Every hidden account, every blackmail file, every illegal deal, every assassination they had arranged, every government they had corrupted, all of it appeared on public networks across the galaxy. They had survived by knowing everyone's secrets while keeping their own. In one day, they had no secrets left. Their trading partners abandoned them. Their allies turned against them. Species they had blackmailed for centuries suddenly had no reason to obey them. The Syndicate's power, built over thousands of years, collapsed in a week. Visited the Syndicate's ruling council as their empire burned around them. We could have destroyed your stations, she said. We could have killed your leaders. We could have done to you what we did to the... She smiled. It was not a kind smile. Instead, we destroyed what you cared about most. Your power, your influence, your legacy. You will live, but you will live knowing that everything you built is gone. And you will have to look at the galaxy every day and know that everyone sees you for exactly what you are. The Syndicate leaders had no response. What could they say? The humans had beaten them without firing a single shot. On Earth, Ambassador addressed the population. He stood in front of a simple podium with the flag of Earth behind him. He looked tired, older than his years. My fellow humans, he began. What began 1 month ago has changed everything. We have struck back against those who hurt us. We have demanded accountability. We have shown the galaxy that we are not victims. He paused, gathering his thoughts. I want to be clear about something. We did not do this out of hatred. We did not do this because we enjoy violence. We did this because we had no other choice. His voice grew heavy with emotion. For 300 years, we tried to be good neighbors. We followed rules that were designed to keep us weak. We accepted insults that would have started wars if any other species had suffered them. We buried our dead and filed our complaints and hoped, truly hoped, that someday the galaxy would see us as equals. He shook his head slowly. They never did. They saw our patience as weakness. They saw our diplomacy as cowardice. They saw our desire for peace as permission to abuse us. And when we asked them to stop, they laughed. Straightened his shoulders. We are not laughing. We have never laughed about the deaths of others. We have mourned every life lost, human and alien alike. But we will not mourn anymore while doing nothing. The time for mourning without action has passed. He looked directly at the camera, as if speaking to every human in existence. To my fellow citizens, I know this is difficult. I know many of you grew up believing in peace above all else. I know some of you think we have gone too far. I understand. I respect your feelings. His expression hardened. But ask yourself this: how many more had to die? How many more colonies had to burn? How many more children had to be taken? We gave the galaxy every chance to treat us fairly. They refused. Again and again and again they refused. So now we will take what was always ours. Not territory, not resources, not power, just the simple right to exist without fear. The right to live knowing that if someone harms us, there will be consequences. The right that every other species in this galaxy has always had. He stepped back from the podium. The old humanity, the one that begged and hoped and suffered in silence, is gone. A new humanity stands in its place. Not cruel, not vengeful, just unwilling to be victims anymore. To the rest of the galaxy, we do not want war. We never wanted war. Even now, we offer peace to anyone who will take it. Accept responsibility for past wrongs. Treat us as equals, and we will be the best allies you have ever had. But if you refuse, if you continue to see us as prey, if you hurt our people and expect no response. His voice dropped to nearly a whisper. Then remember the, and know that what happened to them can happen to you. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, trillions of beings sat in silence, thinking about what they had heard. Some were angry, some were afraid, some were relieved. But everyone, for the first time in 300 years, was paying attention to what humans had to say. In the command center beneath Earth, and the other admirals gathered to watch speech. He did well, said. He made our position clear without threatening everyone. Some will not listen, observed. Some will think they can still defeat us. Let them think that, replied. We have shown what we can do. If they still choose to attack us after that, they deserve what happens next. Was studying reports on her tablet. The assembly is meeting tomorrow. They are trying to decide how to respond to us. Let them meet, said. Let them talk. We are done waiting for their decisions. From now on, we make our own fate. She looked at her colleagues, these men and women who had carried the weight of humanity's survival for so long. We are not finished, she said. They were the worst offenders, but they were not the only ones. There are others who need to answer for what they have done. And then, asked, after we have settled all the old debts. Thought about the question for a long moment. Then we build something new. A galaxy where humans are not at the bottom, where our children do not grow up afraid, where being human means something to be proud of, not something to hide. She smiled, and for the first time in years there was real hope in her eyes. We have been in the darkness for so long, but the darkness is ending now, and when the light comes, we will be standing in it with our heads held high. The other admirals nodded. They had all fought for this moment. They had all sacrificed for this dream. And now, finally, it was coming true. The reckoning was not over, but humanity had proven something important. They were not weak. They had never been weak. They had simply been waiting for the right moment to show their strength. That moment had come, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Assembly had never seen a meeting like this. 46 species gathered in the Great Chamber, but for the first time in 300 years, the human platform was empty. Earth's representatives had not been invited. They had not asked to be invited. They no longer cared what the assembly thought. "This cannot stand," said the delegate, slamming his fist on his platform. "Humans have attacked member species. They have kidnapped our citizens for trial. They have destroyed military forces that took centuries to build. They must be punished." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber, but they were quieter than they should have been. Fear made voices small. "And how do you propose we punish them?" asked the delegate from Tor, an ancient species known for their wisdom. "Their fleet destroyed the in 6 hours. Their intelligence exposed the completely. Their tactics defeated the without a battle. What exactly do you think we can do to them?" The delegate had no answer. The debate continued for hours. 17 species proposed military action against Earth. But when the time came to vote on who would lead the attack, silence filled the chamber. No one wanted to be first. No one wanted to be the next. Intelligence officer intercepted every word spoken in that chamber. She projected the feeds in humanity's war room, where Admiral and her staff watched with cold amusement. "They are afraid," said tactical analyst. "They have always outnumbered us. They still outnumber us, but they are terrified." "As they should be," replied. "We have shown them only a small part of what we can do. If they knew everything, they would not even be having this conversation." Stroked his chin thoughtfully. "Perhaps it is time to show them the rest, not to attack, but to make clear that attacking us would be suicide." Considered this. There was wisdom in it. A threat you understood was far more effective than a threat you could only imagine. "Contact Luna Base," she said finally. "Tell them to prepare for full revelation." Luna Base had been humanity's first settlement beyond Earth. Established almost 400 years ago, it had grown from a small research station into something much larger, much more dangerous. Officially, it was a civilian colony. 3 million people living and working on the moon. Scientists, engineers, families, children. A peaceful place with peaceful purposes. Unofficially, it was a weapon. The entire moon had been converted into a military platform over 200 years. Beneath its surface lay power generators capable of producing more energy than most civilizations used in a year. Its outer shell was covered with devices that looked like communication arrays, but were actually something far worse. Luna Base was a planet killer, a gun so big that its target was not ships or stations, but entire worlds. It had never been fired. It had never needed to be fired. Its existence alone was supposed to be enough. Now, the galaxy would learn that it existed. 3 days after the assembly meeting, every sensor in the galaxy detected something strange happening near Earth. Energy readings that made no sense. Power signatures that should have been impossible. Then the moon lit up. A single beam of light shot from Luna Base toward an empty region of space. It traveled for exactly 1 second before terminating. That 1 second was enough. The beam had been aimed at a dead asteroid 3 light minutes from Earth. That asteroid, 12 kilometers wide, ceased to exist. It did not explode. It did not shatter. It simply stopped being there, converted instantly into energy that scattered harmlessly into the void. The message was clear. Humanity could destroy worlds if they chose to. In the assembly chamber, representatives watched the footage in stunned silence. "How long have they had this?" whispered the Tor delegate. No one knew. No one wanted to know, because if humans had been hiding this for centuries while being treated as inferiors, what else might they have? Ambassador appeared before the assembly one final time. He did not come in person. He appeared as a hologram, projected onto the human platform that had stood empty for so long. He looked different than before, stronger, more confident, like a man who no longer had anything to prove. "Representatives of the Galactic Assembly," he began, "I have been asked to address this body and explain humanity's recent actions. I will do so briefly." He clasped his hands behind his back. "For 300 years, we played by your rules. We filed complaints. We followed procedures. We accepted judgments that were designed to keep us weak. We did this because we believed in the system. We believed that civilized beings would eventually recognize our worth and treat us fairly. He shook his head slowly. We were wrong, not wrong to hope. Hope is never wrong, but wrong to keep hopping after it was clear that hope was pointless. You were never going to treat us as equals. You were never going to protect us from those who wished us harm. You were going to let us be victimized forever because it was convenient for you. His voice hardened. That time is over. We are not asking for your approval anymore. We are not seeking your acceptance. We are simply telling you how things will be from now on. He raised his hand and a list appeared beside him, a list of demands. First, all human prisoners held anywhere in the galaxy will be returned immediately. Not next month, not after review, immediately. Second, all treaties that place humans at a disadvantage will be dissolved. We will negotiate new agreements on equal terms, or we will have no agreements at all. Third, any species that harms a human citizen will face direct response from Earth. Not complaints, not committees, response, proportional to the harm caused. Fourth, Earth will have a permanent seat on the Assembly's Executive Council. Our voice will carry the same weight as any other major power. The chamber erupted in noise, protests, objections, demands that the humans remember their place. Waited for exactly 1 minute. Then he raised his hand for silence. You may speak now, he said. We are listening. The noise continued. Species shouted over each other, trying to be heard. Finally, the delegate's voice cut through. You cannot make these demands. The Assembly operates by consensus. You are one species among 47. You do not have the right to dictate terms. Smiled. It was a gentle smile, almost sad. You are correct. We do not have the right. Rights come from power. For 300 years you had the power, so you had the rights. Now we have the power, so now we have the rights. This is not how civilized beings behave. No, agreed. This is how you behave. We simply learned from watching you. You taught us that strength is all that matters in this galaxy. You taught us that kindness is weakness. You taught us that only power earns respect. He spread his hands. We were good students. We learned our lessons well, and now we are applying what you taught us. The tour delegate spoke quietly. What if we refuse your demands? Looked at him for a long moment. Then we will enforce them ourselves. We do not want to. We genuinely do not want to. We would rather have allies than subjects. We would rather have partners than prisoners. But make no mistake, we will never go back to what we were. We will never again be the species that accepts abuse and hopes for better treatment. If you force us to choose between war and slavery, we will choose war, and we will win. The chamber fell silent. You have 1 week to respond to our demands, continued. Use that time wisely. Consult your governments. Consider your options. And remember what you have seen us do when we are pushed too far. He paused. We did not want this. We never wanted this. Even now, with all the power we have, we would prefer peace. We would prefer to be your friends, your partners, your allies. His expression softened. But friendship requires respect. Partnership requires equality. And we have earned both through our patience, through our suffering, and through our strength. If you cannot give us what we have earned, then we will take it. And you will have no one to blame but yourselves. The hologram flickered and disappeared. In the command center beneath Earth, turned off the display. Now we wait, she said. Do you think they will accept? Asked. Considered the question. Some will, the wise ones. The ones who can see that fighting us would destroy them. Others will refuse. Pride is a powerful force, especially in species that have never known defeat. And if they refuse? Looked at the map of the galaxy displayed on the wall. So many stars, so many worlds, so many beings who had spent centuries looking down on humanity. Then they will learn the same lesson the learned, the same lesson the learned, the same lesson everyone learns eventually. She turned to face her officers. You do not push humans too far. You do not mistake our kindness for weakness. You do not assume that because we prefer peace, we cannot wage war. Her voice dropped low. Because when humans go to war, we do not fight to prove a point. We do not fight for glory or honor. We fight to end the conflict, completely, permanently, whatever it takes. She looked at the stars again. The galaxy will accept our terms, or the galaxy will learn why they should have accepted our terms from the beginning. Outside the window, Earth turned slowly in the darkness. The blue planet that had given birth to a species the galaxy had dismissed as weak and primitive. That species was neither weak nor primitive. It had simply been patient. And now the patience had run out. The reckoning was almost complete, but one more lesson remained, the most important lesson of all. The galaxy would learn it soon enough. They always did.